What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining me on another episode here on my YouTube channel. In today's episode, what we're going to do is start off this video with an analogy. I want you to think about something. Imagine your car just broke down and you're in the market for a new one. Would you ever go and buy a car, without having done any sort of research on it, just based on looks? You probably wouldn't, right? You're going to research the price, you're going to research everything about it, but do you know how that car operates? Do you know how to use it? Is it a manual? Things like that. If you are looking to purchase a new lens, you should be doing the same amount of extensive research, on that lens so that you know that that lens fits for you. There's a million variety of lenses out there on the market, but which one is the right one for you? In today's video, what we're going to be doing is going over exactly what you need to know as far as the focal lengths on your lenses, which in my opinion is the absolute most important part for you to understand about a lens. A lens is going to portray a certain mood based on whichever one you use. So I created a guide for you, so I want you to go down into the description below and download the guide and take it with you when you go to make your first purchase of your lens. So with that being said, let's go through the guide that I created, and I'm going to walk you through everything. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below.
Okay, so here we are in the guide that I created, and remember to go down below and download this. So pretty much what we're going to go over today is focal lengths and how they affect your images. We're going to go over short focal lengths, long focal lengths, the compression and distortion that comes along with those images, that goes along with those focal lengths, and some useful tips that I think that you should know. So what I want you to start thinking about is, think of yourself as a chef. Imagine now that you have a bunch of tools at your disposal. As a chef, you are going to have to bake a cake, and you're going to need certain utensils to bake that cake. But what if you don't know how to use those utensils? Then they would almost be useless. You would be trying to bake a cake with with tools that you don't even know how to use. Or think of yourself as a blacksmith or any other profession where you're using tools, and think about how hard that would be to do a job without understanding fully how the tools work. And I say this because a lot of photographers, that are starting off, they don't really understand how their camera operates. And it's very important, and I truly believe that if you are wanting to be able to be a storyteller with your images, then you're going to have to understand how focal lengths work. So what I'm going to be doing is explaining to you exactly how they work, and talking about here, I listed here how to achieve certain moods and results from your images based on your focal lengths. Keep in mind that whatever lens you choose is going to help tell your story, again, using focal length as a tool. So next slide here. Shorter focal lengths. Check this out here. I have two images here that I want to point out to you. So notice that these two images, they make you feel a certain way. The image on the left hand side, personally, I feel like I'm almost here in the scene. I feel like I'm standing next to this boy right here, and I can almost sort of feel the emotion coming out of this young man here. On the right hand side, I feel like I'm almost climbing this mountain or this hill here with these folks, and that's the sort of feeling that a photojournalism or shorter focal length lens will induce. So check this out here. Lenses such as 14mm, all the way up to 35mm are known as shorter focal length lenses, and these typically are used by photojournalists for landscape photography and sometimes in portrait photography. I personally love to shoot with 35mm, but understand that these lenses here are going to make your viewer feel a certain way. It's going to make them feel that they're almost there in the scene with you. These lenses are often used to showcase more environment, so this environment would be very difficult to shoot and be able to showcase this mountain using a telephoto or a longer length lens. So I have some other notes here for you that is worth checking out. Go ahead and check out some newspaper articles the next time you get a chance, and notice that most of them are shot in about a 24 to 35mm lens. And again, they're doing that because they want to make you feel some sort of way. Keep in mind that the news is meant to make you feel some sort of way about the images that that they're showing to you. A lot of them are political, and again, like this may be a political image here that that I found on the internet. So let's go down to the next slide. So for this image here, I want you to look at something here. Look at the image on the left, which is shot with a shorter focal length lens compared to the one that is shot on the right hand side. Notice this tree in the back here. This tree right here seems very far away, rather than on the right hand side it seems like it's right close up next to her. And this is known on the right hand side as compression, and this is taken from, you are going to get compression from a longer focal length lens. On a shorter focal length lens, again, you feel like you're here on the right hand side, you feel like you are looking through a peephole, or almost like kind of spying on your subject here. So keep in mind that the compression will drastically change how your image will look. So that's why I'm really trying to get you to see how a lens can really change the look completely of your images. So let's look at this one here, and on your left hand side, notice that the dog seems as though you're almost right there and you can pet him, compared to the one on the right hand side. Even though their snouts are close to the lens, you'll notice that on the left hand side, something that's shot with a wider angle lens or a short focal length lens, it almost feels as though you're right there. Compared to the right one, it feels like I'm almost looking at this dog through a peephole. So again, choosing the correct lens that will help tell your story will really help you out. Here goes some more examples that I really wanted to, kind of hit the nail on the head on this one. This is the same scene. I shot this, both of these photos about 20 minutes apart. One was shot on the 35mm, while the other one was shot on an 85mm. Now notice how this background here seems very far away, while the one on the right hand side seems as though it's very close up and kind of magnified. And that is the compression that you will receive from a longer focal length lens. So to kind of go forward, let's check out something that you will experience with a shorter focal length lens, and that is distortion. So in distortion, notice here that the photographer used these subjects here, and they use distortion to their advantage. If you look here, their hands are significantly bigger than their heads, which would never be true in real life. However, this is something that you will get from your images, and understanding distortion will allow you to use it to your advantage and help tell your story. But distortion can also make your subjects look a little bit weird. So look at this photo here of this woman, and she looks almost like her face is warped. You can tell her head looks very small compared to her body, and it almost looks unnatural, which is why typically going below a 35mm lens will kind of give you this sort of distorted look, and a lot of photographers really don't like that, and it's not known to be aesthetically pleasing. It's also worth noting that a good portrait lens, and if you're just looking for a flat out answer on what lens do you want to buy, I typically like to shoot around a 35mm lens where I can kind of showcase my environment, but I also like to have some compression in my images, so I will use a 85mm as well. So I use a combination of both of those two focal lengths, and I find them to be very, very helpful. So let's go to the next slide. And this is exactly what I was talking about compression. Notice this right here, this car looks almost like a toy car. It really makes the environment, this lens makes this environment seem kind of larger than life, and the car seem very small. Again, this feels like I'm looking at this image through a peephole, and I'm not actually really there. And this is meant to showcase this car and showcase the environment. So notice the image on the right hand side with the compression as well. This animal seems very small, but I'm pretty sure if you were to be up next to this animal in person, it would be a lot larger than you. But notice how big the tree really looks in the back, and this is an example of the compression that you get, and some people really love this look. I personally love compression as well, and so do a lot of other photographers. So really just making sure that you're choosing the appropriate lens for you, and choosing a lens that's really going to help tell the story of what you're trying to portray in your images. So my final thoughts are that there's really no such thing as a perfect focal length. Every focal length has different advantages and disadvantages, so you have to choose the one that's right for you. Again, if you understand how focal lengths operate with the compression, the distortion, and the emotions and feels that you're going to get out of your images, then you can really use this as a tool. Again, you are the director, you are a photographer, you are making all the calls, and use focal lengths as a tool to really help you and assist tell the stories. So that's pretty much going to conclude the video. I really hope that this helped out a lot of people. If you don't follow me on Instagram already, make sure to follow me at ATXRoy. I release a ton of behind the scenes content, and thank you so much for your time. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be releasing a ton of content. I answer every and all questions, so make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. I will see you guys in the next one.